That morning didn't begin with birdsong or sprinklers hissing like usual. It began with the sound of a man's hand cracking across my wife's face so loud it carried across the street. Emily staggered on our lawn, still holding the violation notice the HOA had stapled to our fence, while three thugs in tactical vests called themselves compliance officers. And that slap, that sickening echo, set in motion the ugliest fight our neighborhood had ever seen. I'm Chuck Morgan, former Marine husband, and apparently now the guy who had to take on a suburban tyrant hiding behind HOA rules. My wife, Emily, is a schoolteacher, calm and steady, the kind who can silence a classroom with just a look. That day, she'd stepped outside to tend her garden when she found the bright yellow paper demanding we tear down our fence and remove our flag. Same nonsense Jennifer Allen, our HOA president, had been shoving at us for months. Emily lifted her phone about to record the latest violation when those three men strode onto our property. Badges that looked like they came from a costume shop, compliance stitched across their chests, swaggering like they owned the block. Emily, God bless her, didn't flinch. She told them flat out, "You're not law enforcement, get off our property." That's when one of them snapped. He raised his hand and hit her. Her phone tumbled into the grass, still recording, screen cracked. I came out with a coffee mug in hand, wearing a faded Marine Corps t-shirt, and the air changed. I saw the red bloom across her cheek, and in my chest something shifted. Combat instincts don't die. Before I even made a move, headlights cut across the driveway. A black pickup roared up and out stepped Emily's twin brothers, Ryan and Jason. Navy SEALs. If you've ever seen them move, you know no wasted motion, no empty threats. Jason bent down, picked up Emily's shattered phone, saw the video still rolling, and nodded. Proof. Ryan closed the distance to the tallest thug in 2 steps, grabbed him by his vest, and said quietly, "You just picked the wrong family." Within minutes, the 3 so-called enforcers were on the ground, groaning, humiliated, while neighbors peeked through blinds and filmed with shaking hands. Sirens echoed down the street. By the time the police arrived, the proof was undeniable. My wife had been assaulted. On our lawn. By men who claimed they were sent by the HOA. And when the cops bagged one of their phones as evidence, a text message lit the screen. Boss lady. Use force if needed. Everyone knew who that was. Jennifer Allen, our HOA president, the queen bee of suburban dictatorship. I'd fought insurgents overseas, but I never imagined facing something like this in my own neighborhood. At first, I thought maybe now the system will work. The cops had evidence. The neighbors saw. Surely Jennifer was finished. But then court came and everything twisted. Carl Mitchell. Our neighbor. The guy who once told me I'd handled things with restraint walked into that courtroom and testified against me. Claimed I'd threatened him. Claimed I was some dangerous vet who snapped. Jennifer's lawyer smiled like a cat with cream while Carl sold me out for a debt she'd been holding over his head. Sitting there listening to him lie, I felt something I hadn't felt since the worst days overseas helplessness. Emily's hand squeezed mine, but inside I wondered if she'd married a man who was about to lose everything to a petty tyrant with too much power. For a moment, I almost believed Jennifer had won. But then our lawyer played the recording, Carl's own voice from the community meeting days earlier, praising me for staying calm. The timestamp glowed undeniable. And Agnes Porter, the neighbor who always peeked through lace curtains, brought forward something that changed everything. A thick envelope full of photographs. Jennifer's notebook. Pages of names, debts, weaknesses. She had a playbook for controlling us all pressure points like Rodriguez custody hearing leverage and Chen husband overseas isolation. It wasn't HOA management. It was intelligence gathering. That was the moment my despair turned into fire. I wasn't just fighting for Emily anymore. I was fighting for the whole block. The special HOA meeting became a battlefield without bullets. Folding chairs, neighbors' shoulder-to-shoulder air so thick with tension you could taste it. I stood at the projector, hit play on the video of Emily being struck, and the room gasped. One neighbor covered her mouth. Another cursed under his breath. Then came the photos, Jennifer's own handwriting labeling us like assets in a war. When Ryan and Jason laid out the bank records community dues funneled into shell companies' payments to compliance officers, the crowd erupted. Jennifer rose, hair, perfect smile, smug. "You think you've won," she sneered. "This neighborhood needs my discipline. Without me, you'll drown in chaos." But the tide had turned. Mrs. Patterson, the HOA vice president, slammed her gavel. A motion for no confidence was raised, hands shot up like wildfire, and the vote was overwhelming. Jennifer Allen was stripped of her title, her reign of fines and threats collapsing in front of everyone she thought she owned. She lost it. "You fools have no idea what you've unleashed," she screamed, shoving past volunteers. "Phase 3 doesn't need HOA power. I have resources you can't imagine." She locked eyes with me, lips curling into a smile that chilled my blood. "And when it comes, you'll wish you'd begged for my mercy." Sirens wailed outside. Black and white cruisers, FBI vans rolling in. Agents poured out, weapons drawn. Jennifer tried to bolt toward her SUV, but Ryan and Jason intercepted her efficient, controlled, no-wasted motion. Carter, the lead agent, strode up, badge gleaming. "Jennifer Allen, you're under arrest for conspiracy assault, witness tampering, and making terroristic threats." The neighbors cheered, some crying, some recording live. Emily stood beside me, her phone raised again, capturing every second. Jennifer screamed curses as they dragged her to the van, promising revenge, spitting venom at anyone in reach. But no one cared. For the first time, she wasn't the one in control. As the doors slammed shut on that van, I felt relief surge through me. And yet, under it all, her words still echoed. Phase 3 is already in motion. Maybe she was bluffing, maybe not. But one thing was certain: she'd underestimated the strength of the very people she tried to rule through fear. And that's the lesson I'll never forget: tyranny only works until people finally decide they've had enough.